This is the Daily Saints Pod with Zach and Greg.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Saints Pod. My name is Greg, and as always today, joined by my good friend and wonderful co-host, Zach. What have you come out today, mate?
Well, I thought, considering the day we've had today, I thought I'd come dressed as the board. So as you can see, I've got my pretend fake suit and my tin pot.
Yeah.
I am glad you managed to keep a straight face through the whole of that intro, buddy. Good job. And if you don't mind, I'm going to take the tin pot off and the horrible suit jacket. Was that entirely for a bit that only our watchers on YouTube will see? Yeah. Was I thinking about it for at least half an hour before we started recording? Yeah. That shows you how exciting our transfer activity has been.
That's it, mate. Well, look, if you did enjoy that and are watching on YouTube while you're there, give us a like and a subscribe. We're a newly independent podcast, and that goes a long way to help us, especially as we suffer through. I mean, it was deadline day, wasn't it? I mean,
for starters, I feel like I don't know what the point of deadline day is anymore, because nothing basically happened until the end of the day.
Yeah.
It was
the last 10 minutes of deadline day, and then
ridiculous.
2 hours after.
So one of the weird things that I brought up just before we started recording was that when we were doing GSPN and we did crossovers, to anyone that's quite new to the podcast, we used to do crossovers with other teams. And when we were at the Premier League, we did crossovers with Premier League teams. One of the crossovers we did was with Wolves. And I remember their guy talking about how they were really worried about losing Cunha, and Cunha went out injured, and it was a time for Strand Larsen to step up because Strand Larsen was going to have to fill that void. And less than 6 months after he's had to fill that void, he's gone to Crystal Palace, and somehow Armour's gone there, and it's just the weird sort of events that go through football, like a housing chain that's just awful, has seemingly somehow taken our top striker for less than double digits during the time that we're supposed to be getting promoted. And it raises lots of questions, so many questions. I know that there's probably an element of personal. I think we discussed that when we basically did a whole episode about it. But seeing it confirmed was still weird, right?
It was weird. And actually the statement on the website for it, sure, it was 2 hours past the mark on deadline day, but we've known since Friday. So people
we had a knock, mate. Sorry, excuse me.
Have had time to, people at the club have had time to prepare something. And the statement on the site was, Adam Armstrong has completed a permanent transfer to the Premier League outfit Wolverhampton Wanderers. The move brings an end to a 4.5-year stay at St Mary's, where Adam made 174 appearances, scoring 43 goals. We'd like to thank Adam for his effort and commitment during his time in a Saints shirt and wish him well for the future. And I'm like,
he scored the winning goal for our promotion, mate. Come on.
I hold no ill feeling towards Adam Armstrong whatsoever.
Not really.
For making the move. And like we say, he wanted to move closer to family up north and whatever. And whether, he disagreed with the club and, forced the move or whatever, it's completely irrelevant. Like you say, he scored the winning goal at Wembley to secure promotion. Probably the most important goal in, modern Saints history, right?
It's probably the most important goal for Sports Republic, if it's for Sports Republic's bank balance, to be honest. Considering, and
it's just sad. And if it's because he wanted to go, because he wanted to be close to his family, and the reason that it's a sort of cut price to what we think he's worth is, kind of is what it is. And I've heard someone out there, or some saying that, he's got 18 months on his contract, so 7 million sounds about right. And I'm like, but really? Because, I've seen other players that I don't rate as a proven championship goal scorer for considerably more. So, but look, it's sad and it is what it is. And it's done, and like I say, no ill will towards Adam, and I hope him the best at Wolves. I hope that he doesn't score against us next season when we inevitably play them in the Championship, because
Well,
that is what's going to happen.
that's what they're doing. They're building for the Championship, right? They're 100% building a squad for to plan for next year, whereas we apparently can't plan 2 weeks in advance. So
It's just. And I mean, I guess if we're taking the whole picture into consideration, we said that it would be insane to sell Armour and let Archer go, and we didn't do that. We kept hold of Archer, but once
is he
again,
going to
like
be happy?
the way that we've gone about it, like he was basically had one foot in the door at Rangers, and then suddenly it's like, oh no, sorry, we actually want a permanent move. And seeing as you're not good enough to get one of those to Rangers, someone else is coming for the other guy, so you just don't get to move at all now. And it's like, well, I mean, we talk a lot about like mentality and mindset on the show, and there's just no
Consideration goes both
feasible
ways, right?
way. Yeah, there's no way that leaves a player in a positive headspace.
It's
A
both
player who
ways.
is already going to be struggling with confidence because, let's face it, he's not exactly shone in a Saints shirt. It's just, yeah, it's baffling. And then, yeah, and I guess we'll get on to our replacement a bit later. I guess let's wind the clock back a bit, Zach. My list is in chronological order,
Oh God,
as you know,
sure.
is my favourite way to do it. So let's start at the top, because it was a busier deadline day than we were expecting, I suppose,
Yeah,
but not
surprised we've got
really.
any. We talked about how we would be quite happy for a lot of the club to leave. Don't get me wrong, but it just kind of
Not all at
seems.
once.
Yeah, it just kind of seems like it's the planning behind it hasn't been smart. But
No.
I guess
Well,
it is what it
let's
is.
get into it. So, first news of the day: Juan Larios goes out on loan to Real Zaragoza, joining ex-manager Ruben Selles out there.
So we pulled a player who was out on loan back and sent him on loan again. Is there at
Yeah,
least
I
an option
mean,
to buy? Or is it
I believe there's an option to buy, but
good?
realistically, right, like Larios is on his way to recovery from fitness from a horrific set of injuries. He was out for so long that loan makes complete sense to me.
But he was
Anyway,
already on loan.
yeah, but if he's not getting the minutes out there and it's not working out, then swapping it up for the player, it kind of is a non-event to us either way, right? But it kind of makes sense for him if it's better to go out there and out to Spain where he's from, right? So
Yeah,
it's probably a good thing.
I get it. It's fine. It's just a
But yeah, like you say, not
symptom of a
huge effect or news on us, because a player who was already out on loan is now out on loan somewhere else. But
just very much feels like kick can down road forever.
especially
In a
as
lot of these
realistically
situations.
speaking, looking at especially our shape as we're expecting it to be at the moment and the profile of players we're after, Larios probably isn't the profile of fullback that we're looking for, because he's very small and,
Makes sense.
and we're working better with physical players. So yeah, fine. Armel Bella-Kotchap, remember him? He made his loan move at Hellas Verona as a permanent transfer for the region of €5 million, which is a bit bizarre because there was like an obligation to buy for 7.5 at the end of the year. So I don't know. Maybe we're a bit strapped for cash and they wanted to get a slightly better deal.
Feels a bit like
Confirm that he's off the wage. Confirm that he's off the wages and one less thing to worry about. I don't know.
I'm very worried.
Ties.
I know that you've done some digging, because I noticed your tune has changed very much over the weekend, because you did your super hyper focus into financials, which is something I could never do.
Oh yeah. Oh, we're going to talk about that this week for sure.
We will,
Not
but
today.
no. To be clear, I don't want to give everything away, but I think that it's quite telling, right? That there seems to be. It feels like they put all of their eggs in the basket of being promoted, completely blew their load in the summer, and now we've hit sort of January and realised, oh goodness gracious me, this is a big chance of not happening now. And there seems to be a little bit of panic setting in, and that seems to be the same with the transfers out, right? Like allowing people to go early. But I think that we said it last year, for Bella-Kotchap, it's a complete restart of his career. Happy
absolutely.
to him. is what it is. I don't think he ever
I'm
downed
glad that
tools. I think it was more no one picked him.
he's done enough out there to make them want to buy him early.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly
That's can only be a good thing for everyone involved. Rebo then moved out on loan to Leicester till the end of the season, and with 6 months left on his contract, the rest of his contract, which is...
Are they paying him? Because what I'm baffled by is if he's supposedly our top earner, aren't Leicester in like financial trouble worse than us, right? They're supposedly waiting on like points deductions and fines, and yet they're taking him on loan for the rest of the season. So
nothing was like
nothing's been said about the
solidified
financials, right?
in any of the news that I've read, but there
You'd
was
assume so.
there was conjecture that we settled for something like 80% of his wages.
Right.
Them paying 80%. So I mean, it's at least a chunk of wages off the book for a player that, let's face it, isn't doing anything for us at any point anytime soon. Runs down his contract, presumably at a cut rate to us because of that. And so, I mean, again, the
It's
player
interesting that he's going to
for such a long time
to championship rival, right? That's what I think's quite surprising. Is like, what have Leicester seen in them that we haven't? Is it the fact that they're also just desperate to get a transfer in, and he's someone that's willing to play?
Definitely that. I mean, I looked at some of the comments on the Leicester announcement of Aribo joining the club, and well, there was some. Can he play at left back? Can he play at right back? Can he play?
I mean, he's played everywhere, mate. Left back, right back, centre back, forward, striker.
The crazy thing about that is, right, it's like 16 games left of the season at the point of the move. He hasn't played properly for the entirety of this season. When he has come on, he's looked
leggy,
not match fit, right? So it's going to take, 3-4 games to build him up? 2 of the games are against us, so he can't play anyway. It seems like a really strange one from a Leicester perspective. Like, I'm not convinced I understand it, but I hope he does well, I guess. I don't know. He was such a hot and cold player for us. He went from like an important part of the squad to completely struggling for form, and a lot of that was potentially down to, just how, because he was quite a versatile player, he would just get chucked anywhere on the pitch, and I
also think it's personal connections, right? He was really good friends with both Paul and also Sulemana, and I think with both of them leaving the club, people would kind of forget that those kind of relationships are important, and not to bring it to a football manager-esque style conversation, but like the reason that dynamics exists in the video game is because dynamics are a part of real life, and you do wonder if the isolation has been less than ideal.
You fight harder for being part of a team. Like, it's not rocket science to know that. That's like basic psychology. Everyone learns that at a very young age. I mean, it's the most important thing you're taught when you learn to play football at a young age, that it's a team game. So, yeah, it's a real sad end to Aribo's career at Saints, to be honest.
There's a couple today that have felt like that. It's almost too much. And then if you've got like Ryan Fraser already in Australia scoring 2-2, and that kind of felt like he disappeared. And I understand that, we talked earlier on of this season about, clearing out the rot or clearing out the dead wood and this, that, and the other. But like, it just kind of feels, if this is kind of like how people are treated with their departure from the club, and we've had the stuff about Bree with like the lack of communication, you do really wonder like who's saying what. Like, and this is where I talk about like if the current manager isn't actually a manager and is a head coach, you need to wonder that no wonder they kind of all feel a bit adrift. And I think you were right that the reason we did so well after Pompey was because there was such a level of team togetherness, and we come out, played Stoke, and
literally built the chemistry that like I literally pointed it out that none of the players walk over to the fans together up until the Pompey game when it happened for the first time. Right, they all kind of do their own thing or come over in sort of not even in pairs a lot of the time. But after the Pompey game, it's clear that like put the fight in them and brought them together. It was like a shared experience. And then we kicked on at Stoke, and sure, Stoke weren't great, right? Let's not
Only
beat
beat
around
what's
the
in front
bush,
of you.
but yeah, exactly. And that's something that we've struggled with the entire rest of the season. So, and it's interesting. Like, obviously, of the names leaving today, Armour's the big one and the sad one, but was he really a part of that group that have been coming together? Probably not. He probably had half an eye out the door anyway. Does it make sense if the players checked out to just cash in? Sadly, yes. I mean, the more I've thought about it, the less annoyed I have been about it. But again, it's just the way that the whole thing has gone about, and the whole thing of
It's
now
the
Cam
fact there's a level
Archer.
of
Like I
sadness,
say, I
right?
feel really, really feel for Cam Archer, who now has to sort of somehow mentally check himself back in and potentially play a more prominent role in the rest of the season without coming under the same sort of fire that Damien Downs come under, because it's a high pressure situation caused by the anger towards the ownership, who haven't helped themselves this window by only bringing in 2 loans and nothing else, and getting rid of our top goal scorer, which is just I mean, it's sad. But speaking of the other loan we've brought in, mate, let's have a little chat about our newest signing from RCD Mallorca on loan with an option to buy in the summer. Kyle Larin is how I'm attempting to pronounce it, and I may or may not have got that wrong. I haven't watched the video; I've just read all of the posts, so apologies in advance.
Do you want me to try an American accent and read it out and see how I go? Or sorry, I know he's Canadian, but that's like the A at the end of it.
30-year-old Canadian striker, in very experienced in different leagues. Not in the best run of form this season for Feyenoord, but has a better goal per game average than Ricky Lambert, apparently. So, better record than Armstrong and Adams, managed in a top 5 league. Sure. I mean, he scored 14 goals in 70 appearances for Mallorca.
As you always say, mate, whenever somebody joins the club, it is a clean slate, and I am
100%.
kind of already wary that people are already very sort of mad about it. And some people are turning around and have turned around quite quickly, and it's nice to see. We're already looking to find the best gifts that we can. There's one knocking around of him eating undefined Mexican food whilst shooting up in an advert.
I believe that it's shawarma.
It's okay, shawarma.
Because the chant in question that has been proposed is that we got rid of Suleimana, now we have a guy who can eat shawarma.
Hang on, mate. Hang on. There it is.
But no, you're right. It's a clean slate. His profile is a big striker who is capable of hold up play and being a target man, and maybe it's a good fit, right? He needs to be the other half of football that Ross Stewart isn't going to be fit enough to play.
Yeah,
right?
that's what it feels like, right? It feels like they've realised now that if you're going to have a Ross Stewart profile of player, you can't rely entirely on him. If they're keeping Archer to play the armour role,
Archer is the plan B, right? He is the something different, whereas this signing is very much a supposed like for Ross Stewart, and look, maybe it is that is his profile. That's what he's good at. We're going to play that way. Maybe it'll play exactly to his strengths, and he'll just bang a load of goals in for fun. And I hope he does. Absolutely.
Yeah, I hope he proves us all wrong, basically, is where I'm at.
Can't claim to be a huge watcher of the Eredivisie to have seen any of his games this season. If I'm honest, it's not something I've got time for. But, now he's in a Saints shirt, we'll see from there. And, like I say, hopefully it goes well. Hopefully he'll come into the group and match up well. And that's all we can hope for, really. And
exactly that, right? Yeah, I just think that let's cut that out bit where it was set off my bedtime timer. Yeah, I just hope that he hits the ground running, and we're all proven wrong, and ends up being seen as a shrewd bit of business, even if it feels like it's completely accidental.
Yeah, I'll take it. I mean, yeah. I mean, all the best. Let's hope it goes well. Let's finish the season strong, and then see where we're at in the summer. A couple of bits from non-first team players around the club. So, Akchukwu has gone out on loan to Colchester, and Ehib Atiman has gone out on loan to Salford, both from the youth teams, going off to get some minutes in the lower leagues. And then I thought to put in perspective why we're feeling quite so glum, even after bringing in a new striker that there's promise. We're hopeful. We're optimistic as always. I thought I'd sort of bring some of the other news from deadline day that I've seen as I've been sat watching Sky Sports News all day in the background whilst working and refreshing Twitter after work. Like, Derby got Sammy Smodics on loan from Ipswich, who scored something like 26 goals last season in the Championship. So maybe that was a player that we could have maybe got in for and tried to get in. It's a bit of an odd one.
We had those collapsed loans or collapsed loan deals from like Finland or wherever it was.
They also bought in a left back today. Also just once again putting our two across the entire window into question. Sheffield United had a busy day. They signed Joe Rothwell, obviously familiar to Saints fans as part of the promotion squad when he came on loan from us from Bournemouth, and also Calvin Phillips on loan. So
yeah, well, there's a couple of moves
maybe.
That between that, Bamford, and a couple other a couple other players that have gone to Sheffield United, there seems to still be more of a pool there despite their poor form.
Yeah. Pompey signed a striker on loan from Luton. Swansea signed a player from Greece, and even Sheffield Wednesday managed to sign 2 players today.
I get that we don't want to sign people for the sake of it, right? But there's definitely areas that we have discussed and everyone is aware of that we needed to sign. And I, at the beginning of the transfer window, we kind of thought we've done the smartest bit of business. We've got the goalkeeper done. There's a couple other places we probably need to strengthen. And it seems like the only thing we've strengthened is because of something else. So all I kind
we
of
haven't strengthened anything. What we have done is make a like-for-like swap as a replacement. There's no additional depth there. We have lost the top goal scorer in the league, and replaced him with an unknown entity. As we just established, you could have brought in Erling Haaland, and you don't know if he's going to gel with the squad. So it's unproven territory, and we'll see how it goes. Wrexham signed a couple today. Borough signed a couple. And Blackburn sacked their manager. So I don't know.
Well, to be fair, that's along with Watford, and what is that, more than 50%, about 10, 12 managers that have been fired over the course of the Championship season so far.
Yeah,
and they call the Premier League brutal. Bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I think you're right. I think part of the malaise as well is just it's none of these sort of players that have played huge roles for us have gone with sort of rapturous applause and it felt like they were okay. It's Aribo, as you pointed out, is just a bit sad. Armour's kind of it's more shocking than anything else. And then I
think it's more disappointing.
I guess you're right. That's probably a better word for it. And then you've got other moves that, Adozi was supposed to move on, but he might be reintegrated to the squad. So I guess that might be a boon. We don't know, but where's his headspace going to be at if he, played a little bit in the preseason, then never got a go right up until the fact that they tried to move him on. Nobody wanted him, and now he's kind of stuck here. It's going to take a while, isn't it? It's just, it's just.
I mean, a while to get up to fitness. I mean, presumably there's a reason that he wasn't included in the squad more. And I think he was injured for a bit of it, so I don't want
It's
to
true.
be too harsh on it. But then, I mean, maybe it was one of those mysterious knocks. Who's to say? But like, yeah, it's not going to be easy to like get back fit, get in the headspace, and again reintegrate with a group that is only recently starting to actually come together and be a group, right? So it's not like it's going to be in a position to pull everyone in. It's yeah, I don't know. It's tricky, and I hope that he does pull it out because I think if we get the player that we've seen play for us before, then that is a nice option to have, out on the wing as a backup for Leo, who gets kicked to Kingdom Come, and
We're,
just
my worry is we're going to start developing a reputation for a place that players don't want to come because
yeah,
they end up spending like 2/3 of the time at the club just not playing because they, pretty much since Sports Republic have taken over, a bunch of dubious transfers have taken place, and then the transfers that have really paid off, like Matty Fernandez last year, right, have resulted in huge profits for them, and not really much to be seen
yeah,
elsewhere.
that's it. What like one season? Yeah, same with like Lavia, right? Like I'll come in one good season, offer a huge amount of profit. That's not doing the club any favors. So
Well, to be fair, he's barely played a game since, but that's due to injuries that we weren't aware of. It's just, and again, I think that a key part of this that you've summed up quite nicely is that a lot of players are paying for the mistakes of the ownership of the club. And I
yeah,
think like Baz is another example of that, where like the kind of hate and vitriol that's been pointed towards him is due to a lot of defensive failings and management failings across the board that put a lot of pressure on him.
yeah,
It's just it's a bit of a weird one because usually sort of we're like, oh, we finally got this deal over the line, this happened, and admittedly our last transfer window was a relatively successful one.
yeah.
It's just that sort of like they've decided to ship out everybody and everyone, but the people like shipping out armor specifically, it's just like the weirdest. That's not a puzzle piece you wanted to ship out. I don't really
No,
understand.
it is interesting, and you're right. Maybe down the line when we look back as instead of a window as a sort of
Season.
season as a whole transfer wise, you're right. Maybe the perspective that actually Leo's unbelievable, Azaz is coming good, Fellows is unbelievable. All of these players coming into play. So maybe we'll look back and it will be a little bit easier to handle, but at the moment, it's just feeling a bit like the win wasn't quite enough to carry through what feels like
It,
a sort of rubbish deadline day.
it seems extremely unambitious, is what I
Yeah,
think that it feels like. It is because of the fact that we keep having to, some of our best content when it comes to social media stuff, which I don't often talk about because this is part of the podcast, but we do socials on the side. As you all know, we post clips all the time. But some of the most viewed stuff is whenever we post anything about sort of transfers, but also specifically one the other week where you were talking about whether or not we still have the ability to get promoted, Greg. And
yeah,
I think it's because like there's that hope there, and we want to know what everyone's kind of thinking, and we all kind of have it in the back of our minds. And like I feel like this window is very much confirming, like, well, clearly the signings that, as you pointed out at the beginning of the window, at the beginning of the season, were really good in that window. But we need more to be able to like get it over the line because clearly we're struggling and we're flailing. And what they've done, as you pointed out, isn't even really strengthen us. It is replace a goalkeeper who at no point should have had that much pressure put on him anyway, and
mm,
replace the top goal scorer in the league and our top goal scorer with somebody who is unknown, who is now also going to have a significantly large amount of pressure put on him. And if he
yeah.
doesn't perform very quickly, is going to have people turn on him, which isn't necessarily going to be his fault either. It's just it's a vicious circle, and you just have to wonder how it's gonna pan out.
And that's
Just
the funny
hoping.
thing, right? Because you look at Armour and what player he has been and is for us, and I would never describe him as I don't know. Maybe my definitions are wrong. He's not prolific, right? Like he scores a lot of goals, but also he does
Does it
lots
work
of
off the
goals
ball,
in
mate?
quick succession and then goes missing for like a couple of months at a time.
But does a lot
Right?
work
Like,
off the ball? You need to remember
yeah,
that when you always point
yeah,
out you spot it more than most people, and we talk about that kind of element as well, and that's going to be hard to instinctively train into somebody, and they might not have that, and that's I think sometimes the criticism that you've had of people like Downs who's not really gelled quickly. And then all of a sudden, well, for starters, we already know that you summed it up pretty well that he was treated as a different profile of player to what he actually was, which is some
yeah.
of his issues. But yeah, it's prolific, sure. Like but he still like is the top goal scorer without having to score for like 10 games. That means something. Like, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
probably says more about the standard of the championship. But either way, like we are where we are, and he's scored that many goals for us. You remove that many goals out of a team that was already struggling to score around that.
it's
It's
a
going to be a
problem.
problem.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. It's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. And you're right. The most interesting part of the way the championship is playing out this season is no position in the league is really entirely out of reach. Realistically, like crazier things have happened than the potential run you can go on. 7 points from playoffs, 12 points from automatics is not out of the question. It's a big question with lots of teams in front of us, but it's not. It would be crazy, but it's mathematically possible. And also looking the other way, like 10 points, 10 points above the drop zone is. I mean,
So
anyone can finish anywhere.
it'll be interesting to see then where these investments lie, right? It will
Yeah.
be if the teams that have invested, obviously you can't necessarily buy your way up leagues, but then also like Wrexham have done it pretty well. And also because they're a club that have consistently done it, everybody kind of knows that their position is, at risk if they don't perform. And I guess that, with us, it's very much feels like we're at the whim of uh, an ownership base at the moment that have very much spent the last week being exposed,
Mm.
and we'll talk
In
about
so
that a
many
little bit
ways.
more. But I think that also has contributed to you combine the general attitude around the ownership at the moment with the fact that today has kind of fallen a little bit flat, and if anything, has felt more like we've lost more than we've gained. Not in the sense of we've sent people out on loan who can't play. We've actually genuinely lost more than we've gained. Yeah, I
Mm.
think it's going to be a spicy few months. I think, mate.
Look, I think actually it's summed up quite nicely by a tweet I've just seen on my feed from Talk Saints. A heartless farewell from Southampton to Adam Armstrong, and they do say that culture comes from the top. So
And just, I'm not going to put the tin hat back on, but you know where I'm at.
yes, I think it's safe to say that the research and the information that we'll talk about later in the week has definitely swung some opinions on this show. But you know what, mate? That sounds like a talk for another day
Doesn't it?
because that is all we have got time for from our much later than anticipated deadline day. So much for 7 o'clock. Thanks, guys.
Never is.
Listen,
Literally
thank
never
you
is.
so much, Zach, for joining me, and thank you,
Thank you,
as
mate.
always, everyone, for listening. Let us know in the comments on the socials how you're feeling about the window as a whole and about deadline day. Was it exactly the chopping that we needed to do to get ourselves into a stronger position going forward, or was it just rubbish? Let us know. We love to hear from you. We are Daily Saints Pod, absolutely everywhere. TikTok, Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, X, YouTube. Hit us up and let us know. And whilst you're there, give us a rating or a like or a subscribe or a heart. All of it goes so far to helping us as a newly independent podcast, and we are so grateful for all of those that do. We will be back tomorrow to talk more about Saints and about Sports Republic and about everything that you want to hear about. But until then, everyone, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you then.
This is the Daily Saints Pod with Zach and Greg.